of truth and light, where the spirits dance all night. The Creator gang, trumpets sound across the sky, as we raise our voices high, praising the one most high, under the auspice watchful eye. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space, for the Creator gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune, under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. Harmony in every beat, our faith is concrete. Through the pages of the OSP, ancient wisdom on display, teaching us the righteous way, leading us to a brighter day. With each trumpet blast, we're reminded of the past, and the love that will ever last, in this divine contrast. Unite.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
In spirit, we uplift and hear it. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space.
Seem like we good now. Seem like we good now.
We chase, with trumpets playing in tune, under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone.
Never undone.
We sing songs of love and grace in this.
Yes, family, give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. No glitches. Holler back at your boy, Sila Shalom, KSS. Kisses. Holler.
Sacred space, for the Creator gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune, under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. Never undone. Never undone.
Ja over I and I. Yeah, large up yourself, pick up yourself as the hostess with the mostest. Select the Sila Shaloms on the 1 and 2s. You know how we do. Back live and direct, you know what I mean? You know how we do. Let me, finally I had to reboot the computer. You know what I mean? Sometimes so much Ethereum light be radiating off your brother, disturbing the goddamn, you know what I mean? Circuits. Let me upload this picture real quick. Quick fast for the rise. Haile, Ja Rastafari. Yeah. Still Rastaman, know you mean? Sila Shalom is still a Rastaman. You know what I mean? Can't neglect my Caribbean roots. What happened to you? What happened to you? One dead? So now, you know what I mean? I woke up this morning and just put together something. I'm like, I see the brothers going hard. I see Mally going hard. I see Cosmogony going hard. I see Daryl over here working on presentation. I'm like, oh, hell no. Y'all niggas ain't about to leave me in the back. What's wrong with y'all niggas? You think y'all about to leave me in the back? At this time of what's going on with Iran, Israel, and America, the false gods at war, and y'all gonna leave me out the loop? Nah, dog, I had to make way, yo. I had to make way. You know, I've been tied up filming my scene, my show. I'm back in production, season 12, Atlanta's Up, coming soon. We working hard. So while I've been over there doing that, the gods been over here doing, exposing the false gods of war. So I said, nah, bro, I gotta get my 2 cents in. You know the guys, you have to get this 2 cents in, you know. Yo, where you say Trini? Kian, where you say Trini? Messia, Medea, Medede, Medea, yeah. Let me run the rhythm still, yeah. Let me run the rhythm still, yeah. Yes, I large up yourself. Yes, Trini in the place. Where's the Tabitha? Yes, yes, yes. Large up yourself, sister. So, like I said, I woke up this morning and I put together a little quick presentation. You know what I'm saying? I got to keep up with my brothers. They're over here working. So it's called The Judgment of Warfare and the Fall of Agile. You know what I mean? Because you see where we at. You see what's going on right now with the current events. They're going to eat Therian light. You know what I mean? All tight. That study Therian light short circuit the circuits. All tight. All tight. All tight. See my golds shining in the dark. My golds shining in the dark. All right, we back. Cool. Yeah. So y'all see what's going on in the news right now? You know what I mean? Israel and Iran going at it. Hard body. Now, as we know, the last false gods, you know what I mean? The last reigning false god in this dispensation of time is Christianity and Islam. Those are the two main religious gods that we in the West know of. You got two more other false gods, Brahma and Buddha. But in the West, we really don't entertain those cultures. We know about Islam and we know about Christianity. And we know who are the faces behind those religions. We know that Christianity was started and influenced by Lua Monk. And we know that Islam was started by Gabriel, the false Allah. So you have the false Allah, Jibril, assuming to be the creator. And then you got Luamon, the false Christ, assuming to be the creator. So these gods who established themselves in antiquity, Luamon really put his foot down with Constantine. That's when Luamon really established his base on earth with Constantine, 3rd century Common Era. And then you have Jibril, who established his doctrine around the 6th century, 5th century Common Era through Muhammad. That was his stronghold of putting his doctrine on the earth plane. And the purpose of these false gods to establish an earthly base by raising up a prophet. The purpose of a prophet is to raise up people to follow the doctrine of that God. And the purpose of you following the doctrine of that God is to prepare you for when you die, you become a subservient slave to that God in whom you worship. So that's the purpose of these false gods having an established base on the earth plane to populate their heavenly kingdom with the spirits will be of the newly dead. And the potential humans that will be in their kingdom after we die. So we're potentials right now. We're still alive on the earth plane. So we're potentials in the eyes of the false gods because we have potential to become one of their servants. If I follow Islam under Allah, when I cross over and die, I'm going to Allah's heavenly kingdom. And if I'm a Christian and I'm devoted in Jesus, when I cross over, I'm going to be a follower into the heavenly. I'm going to go into the heavenly kingdom of Luamon, the false Christ. So being that we're not dead yet, we're potentials. The false gods are casting their bets on the potentials, meaning these are potential. If the false god got 1 billion followers in his kingdom, and he has 1 million followers on earth that's still alive, those are 1 million potential followers that he could have in his kingdom on top of that 1 billion. So that's how the false gods are looking at it. They're looking at us as potential followers. Global purpose, I see you, Sistren. Large up yourself, yeah? Big up yourself. So that's the purpose of the false God. And that's the purpose of true God as well. It worked both ways, good and bad. So switching it to true God now. If true God sees us as potentials, the purpose of true God raising up a prophet is to bring us to his heavenly kingdom, right? And the difference between true God and the false gods is that true God is going to let you know that he's not the creator, that he is in service to the creator, and that earth is nothing more than a school where you are here to be educated and learn and graduate into higher realms within the school. So the school is set up two ways, the physical and the spiritual, or the physical and the atmospheric. The physical is the earth plane, our existence right now. Learning corporeal things, learning the elements, learning science, learning natural philosophy, learning the seasons and cycles of creation. That's what we learn on the physical plane through the light of the creator. The second part, and that's school. That's schooling, that's learning, that's schooling. That's elementary. Elementary school is learning the elements of nature. That's the elementary school, learning the elements, the primordial things. Your periodic table of elements, the foundational things, that the building blocks of creation, you learn on an elementary level. And then now, when you cross over and become an atmospheric being or an angelic being, you learn atmospheric things. You learn how the seasons and cycles work in the atmosphere. And you continue to grow until you reach the highest plane or the highest grade. The highest grade in high school is 12th. The highest plane on the atmospheric level is the third heaven, or the third atmospheric layer. Now you got the exosphere. The exosphere is the last atmospheric layer before going into what they call deep space or outer space, what we know as the etheric or the Etherian kingdoms. So the school is already set up. Before you got on this earth plane, it was already designed and set up for your spiritual progression. What'd you say, Keon? You hear that? We are the only conscious group tracking these false gods. Yes, that's facts. Because nobody is labeling these gods as false. Islam is not looking at themselves going to war under Allah as being false. Christians, under the auspice of Christianity, Jesus Christ, God, Yahweh, is not looking at them being wrong in the aspect of going to war. In the Bible, they're following a God of war. God condones warfare in the Bible. But in the Owaspi, God judges against warfare. You see that? So now, peace, King Maximum 1. Peace to the God. That brother right here been here from day one. Day one. What's that? The New Jerusalem coming down from heaven right there, the box? That's the Islam, the Kaaba? Yeah. So now what you see going on right now is some crucial times because we're dealing with weapons of warfare. Now, it's a section. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. In a book of, what book that's in? Cosmogony and Prophecy. Let me go to that real quick. Showing you the state that we're in as far as advancement on a human scale. Because, warfare branches in different areas. It grows. Warfare at one time was sticks and stones, spears, bow and arrows. That was warfare at one time. The niggas moved to muskets and the guns. They figured out powder. What they call that shit again? What's the I can't think of it. Gunpowder. They figured out gunpowder. Bam. Now they got guns. When the colonizers came to the Americas, the Native Indians had bow and arrows. These niggas came with guns. Bam, bam, bam. Warfare. So warfare could get gruesome, depending on the advancement of the human race. We're at a time we're dealing with nuclear war, nuclear weapons, nuclear destruction. So we're in a crucial time right now. Because if one of these idiots in government, president, decide to push the button, they don't even know the consequences that come with dropping that bomb. We seen it once on Nagasaki and Hiroshima and them. We seen what that did. And that was back in what, the 60s? Can you imagine what they got now? Laser guided missiles. You got Israel, got the Iron Dome. These niggas got a whole force field around the state of Israel. I don't think we really comprehended what's going on. The advanced technology, what's going on. These niggas got a Iron Dome where these niggas shooting missiles and it ain't penetrating. It's disposing in the air. Some of them may penetrate through. But look at the advancement of the technology. If Israel got an Iron Dome, you think we ain't got one? You think we ain't got an Iron Dome if Israel got one? And Israel is kissing our ass to help them? Come on now. It is real in the field, son. I'm looking for this little verse real quick. Hold on. Let me run the rhythm low. I look for. Quick, fast. Talking about the advancement of warfare. Hold tight, hold tight. Everybody hold tight. Oh, got that in. I didn't even know that was in there. Yeah. Yes, family. It's interesting. Hold tight, hold tight. Let me see if I can find this verse here real quick. Boom, boom. All right, here we go. There we go. Share my screen. They got all these new rules on StreamYard. We're going to upgrade it. There we go. So I'm sharing my screen, and we're going to go to Cosmogony and Prophecy Chapter 8, right? It's a part in here where it says something interesting. Let me start from verse 1. Let ETH stand as 1, Jah as 2, Ajah as 3, and Corpora as 4. To ETH gave motion of 100 or 99, as the case may be. To Corpora, physicality, gave 0, that is no motion of itself. To Jah gave 66, to Ajah gave 33. Verse 2, right? ETH, or ether, being the time of light, is named Dan. Jah, the time of fevers, epidemics, and plagues. And Ajah, the time of wars, dashing forth with power and grasping Ma, the earth being the subject. Now, reading this, we can literally say that Jah and Ajah is definitely in motion, because we had an epidemic and a plague with the COVID, and we're definitely dealing in a time of war, dashing forth with power. We see that going on now. So Jah and Ajah is definitely in the atmosphere, because that's what's going on as we speak. COVID is still around. Don't get twisted. COVID's still here. They got cases of COVID rising. It's still in the air. It's still here. I see people still wearing their masks, especially elderly people. They still wear their masks, their COVID masks. So we can't say that epidemic and plague is not here. So now, and the time of war is definitely here. So we see in J.I. and Aja play out before our face. It's in the atmosphere. I could feel it in the air. What Benny Siegel say? Yeah, it's in the air. So now, verse 3, there's still another period to all corporeal worlds, physical worlds, Lutz. In the time of Lutz, there falls on a planet condensed earthly substance such as clay, stone, ashes, decimated molten metals, and so on, in such great quantity that it can be compared to snowstorms piling up corporeal substances on the earth in places to a depth of many feet and in drifts up to hundreds of feet. So now they're saying that during the early period times of the earth plane, there falls substance to the earth in great mass called Lutz or Lutz. And we still see some of this today, like with the meteorites here and there. It may not be as potent as it is in the early days, but we still every now and then get hit with some meteorites. Now check this. Lutz was called Uz by some ancient prophets because it was a time of what? Destruction. If Lutz followed soon after a Simun period, when portions of the earth were covered with simu and rank vegetables, it charred them, penetrating and covering them up. Most of the coal beds and oil beds in the earth were made this way. See that? Most of the coil beds and oil beds were made in this fashion. You're thinking it's coming from the earth, but it's coming to the earth. The oil fueling your car came from outer space. Look at that. There's an example. What is in the coil? Showing you some examples right here. What you're looking at came from the above, not beneath. Look at that. So when this stuff puffs, now like volcanoes, right? Volcanoes could possibly be letting out that which came from outer space. These Aja, these JR, these condensed falling debris that is bedded into the earth, coal beds, oil beds, and these volcanoes bust them up, expose them, bring them up like a bump. You ever had a bump and that pus come out? That's what a volcano was like. It's releasing the gases trapped in the earth, which came from outer space. That's crazy, right? So now let's move on. But look what it states. Lutz belong more to an earlier age of a planet when its vortex is more extended, and when the nebula clouds in its outer belt are subject to condensation. So as to rain down on the earth, these corporeal showers. So they're basically saying that the earth used to be extended, more flat in appearance than globe in appearance. Because if you extend the vortex, it's gonna, if you take a ball and pull its two sides out, it's gonna flatten out some. And the earth seems like it pulsates. It expands, condenses, expands, condenses. When it expands, it flattens out. When it condenses, it balls up. So that's an interesting thing to consider, because when people say the earth is flat or this, that, and the third, it could be it could be when the earth is expanding prior to condensing, like breathing, inhaling and exhaling. So now, check this. The time of Dan, which is the time of light, is the opposite of this, the opposite of warfare, the opposite of pandemic and plague. And although it is the time of spirituality among mortals and the time of prophecy and inspiration, yet it is the time of earth, yet it is the time the earth is rapidly giving off its life force and its moisture and rapidly growing old. Interesting. Consequently, the two most important periods for the prophet's consideration come within 33 and 66, which is Aja and Jaya, or as they say of old, man and beast, in which measure man is divided in two parts, man and beast, and there is always a percentage in his behavior inclining to one or the other, and they correspond to the vortexian currents of the earth. So your behavior is based off what's in the air, I could feel it in the air. Yeah. So what we dealing with right now? The behavior of man is more like a beast right now. Warfare is beast-like behavior. The student, meaning us, must not consider merely individuals. So we're not just talking about some hood niggas around the corner. We're talking about what? Nations and peoples belonging to the continents and the relationship that comes of Aja or Dan or their percentage must have reference to those nations or people who manifest to its influence. So look at America, for example. We got a whole city that created a movement called the drill culture, Chicago, where they dissing dead enemies, spitting on their graves, pissing on their graves, going to their graves, doing all type of foul, I don't even know what the word for that, demonic behavior, right? So we see that going on in the Americas. And then we also see brothers like the gang trying to bring this light of truth as a small percentage, because the majority of the so-called righteous community is still following a false God. So we can see it in the air. All right. So this is the verse right here I was really coming to. Oh, yeah. This is the verse I actually was wanting to read, but I said, let me start from the top. Read some of this from the top. So now, verse 9. Thus suppose a people grade run below 33, but not as low as 22. And such a people fall under Aja for a period of 66 years, or even more. Then war, destruction, death, and lust will come upon that people. Now, aren't we dealing with that right now? Are we in a time of war? Are we in a time of destruction and death? Are we in a time of lust? Look at the Sexy Reds promoting sexuality on a whole nother level. Just you remember back in the day in rap, you used to spoke about sexuality in code. You know, you wouldn't go too extreme, but you're speaking in code terms. Like look at 50 Cent and Lil' Kim song Magic Stick. That was a sexual song, but it's coded. But then when you listen to Sexy Red, they just raw and uncut with it. So they're promoting lust on a whole another level. And then Sexy Red young, so she's influencing all these young girls to be hoes. While they themselves know that they're pushing this agenda and know that it ain't right. So nonetheless, on a high percentage, we see war, death, destruction, and lust going on right here in the Americas. And we're influencing the world. We're influencing Germany. We're influencing the UK, London, to follow our trend of hip hop. So once the Sexy Red get to the UK and get to these other countries, you're going to see the plague spread across nations, starting with us. Now, and that's just dealing with what is stated up here. Suppose a people's grade runs below 33. So we could say our grade is lower than 33 right now. We're not even 50%. We less than 33. Less between 22 and 33 is the American nation right now. Because we're dealing with war, destruction, death, and lust. Oh, shit. I'm thirsty. All right, family, I'm back. I forgot to charge my laptop. I had to uncharge, so that's what happened. So now we back at it. Let me share my screen. Where I was at. So now, again, like I was saying, we're dealing with war, destruction, death, and lust. And it stated that suppose a grade run below 33. So we could literally say America is below 33 between 22, right? As far as dealing with that. Now, let's move forward. Watch this, though. But suppose the same fall of Ajah come upon a people graded above 33 to 66. Then war and intellect with oratory, music, and remarkable men of genius will result. Now, we could claim this too. We could claim that if America is above 33 to 66, within that range of spiritual graded, it's still dealing with what? War, intellect, oratory, music, and remarkable men of genius. We're there too. It has to take a remarkable man of genius to create a goddamn Iron Dome, a force field to intercept rockets and missiles. You got to be a smart nigga to do that. So let's say we are above 33 in the mix of 66. So what we're seeing is that we're amalgamated with all these grades. Because we are definitely below 33 with the behavior, lust, and death and destruction. Then we can literally say we above 33 with the remarkable men of genius creating war capabilities with intelligence. But now, look at this. So we can literally say from 33, from 22 to 66, right here, we could say we sit on that. We could say we could sit on this. Thus, suppose a people's grade run below 33, but not as low as 22. And such a people fall under Ajah for a period of 66 years, or even more, then war, destruction, death, and lust will come upon that people. But suppose the same fall of Ajah comes upon a people graded above 33 to 66, then war and intellect with oratory, music, and remarkable men of genius will result. So look at that. We are here. We are meshed up in these degrees because we're definitely dealing with men of genius of warfare. We're definitely dealing with war and destruction and death, and we're definitely dealing with lust. When you go on Instagram, that's all you see. Baddies. You see BBLs. They're inducing the lust factor. That's why the HIV rate, the AIDS rate is so high right now. Because niggas out here wilding. And HIV and AIDS is what? It's a plague. What is COVID? A plague. Plagues to society. So now, that's where we at. But what happens if we go higher? Let's take the degrees even higher. Look what this says. This was coming next. But to carry it still further, the same fall of Ajah come upon a people above 66 will cause them to manifest in many lords, gods, and saviors in superstition. This was coming next. What I mean by this? Meaning that it's about to be somebody and some people that's going to come out some goddamn out of nowhere and play like they the Lord, gods, and saviors of humanity. We had a glimpse of them already in the past, but they're going to come as a unit. They're going to come as like the Jesus Christ and the Allahs when they make their appearance. See that? Lords, gods, and savior in superstitions, rites, and ceremonies, which will all more or less pertain to sexualism. Look at that. Sexualism. How do you go from being a god, now God over here in the bed dealing with sexualism? Because a lot of these cults behind it is sexualism. I done heard plenty of things about, sad to say, the Nubian nation. I done heard people tell me who was part of that nation that a lot of the men, wives, they gave to Malachi York. Like niggas was taking, this man was taking their wives, having sex with them, sexualism. If you look at Aleister Crowley, they say he was involved in sexualism. So it's like these niggas who's trying to play lords and gods behind the scenes is involved in sexualism. So it's interesting nonetheless. It's interesting nonetheless. I see the sisters tapping in. So now, The judgment of warfare and the fall of Ajah. And it's interesting because what I noticed is that during the time of warfare or surrounding it, Ajah will fall. You see what I'm saying? And I was like, or during the ending of a cycle, Ajah will be present. So now, Book of Jehovah, chapter 8, verse 3 through 12, right? The influence of warfare comes from the angels. The unseen rule the seen. The spiritual activates the physical. So warfare is inspired by our ancestors. Think not, O ye angels, O ye ancestors, that the resurrection of your hearers, your descendants, and their descendants that come up out of the earth is an easy matter and a steady progress, devoid of mishaps and woeful darkness. The angels under you, for those who don't know, this is the Book of Jehovah, chapter 8, verse 3 to 12. All right. The angels under you shall become at times rebellious and defiant, disregarding your laws and decrees. So that's where it starts. You know, everything going good, everything going hori-dory, and now somebody got to mess things up. If you notice, even the gangs, Bloods and Crips start off as a good thing. Niggas protecting the community from racism. Chicago, the GDs, and all the gangs started off righteous before the monkey wrench was thrown in and they got negative. So just like what it states here, the angels under you shall become at times rebellious and defiant. Your gang members under you at times shall become rebellious and defiant, disregarding your gang laws and decrees. And they shall desert your heavenly places and go down to the earth in millions and hundreds of millions. And they shall drive away the Ashars, the guardian angels, and assume guardianships over mortals. So there you have it. That's how you become influenced by these fallen angels. They drive away your righteous guardian angel and assume guardianship. The righteous angels don't go to war. They don't fight back. So you must say that's cowardly. It may seem and appear to be that way, but the results of warfare, you would want to be a coward if you know what comes with the results of warfare. You'll play the coward. And then assume guardianship over mortals, but they shall develop no righteousness under the sun. So when they assume this guardianship, when they start inspiring you, they're not inspiring you to righteousness. But they will what? But they will inspire mortals to war and destruction. Now you got this spirit of war. Now you're being inspired to look at your brother and knock his head off. Where'd that spirit come from? It came from the ancestors that's inspiring you. But they will inspire mortals to war and destruction. And these angels will themselves take to war and evil on every hand within the place of your heavens. Now, this is exactly like the gangs. The gangs started out as a unit. They broke apart. Smaller factions came about. And now they all warring against each other. Same example. As above, so below. Now, look at this. Now, keep in mind, this is in spirit. This is after the death. This is what's going on among the ancestors. With foul gases of atmosphere, they shall make weapons of war and places of torment. Do not we make weapons of war? Don't we got weapons of war? Watch this. Weapons of war. Is not that weapons of war? We got this on the physical plane, but they're telling you ancestors got this on the spiritual plane. With foul gases of atmosphere, they shall make weapons of war and places of torment. Don't we got places of torment? Don't we got places of torment? What's places of torment? Jails, nigga. You know how many niggas is dying in Georgia jails right now? It's a pandemic. Georgia jails. This is the place of torment. Right here, the jail system. You don't want to get locked up out here. It's nasty out here. They go Fulton County. So, as the verse states, with foul gases of atmosphere shall they make weapons of war and places of torment. With these elements shall they make suffocating hells in order to cast one another in chaos. This is what's going on among the ancestors dealing with warfare in the spirit world or the atmospheric world, right? Now let's come down to human beings. Look what it states about humans. And humans, mortals, who shall be slain in war, shall be born in spirit in chaos on the battlefields. In chaos shall such spirits enter the spirit world, and they shall not know they are dead as to earth life, but shall still keep fighting right and left. So now you have mortals. Now you got the American soldiers. You got Israel over there at war. Right? You got Israel at war right now. Dropping bombs. Bodies is dropping on both sides. But what the Ayatollahs and the Trumps and the presidents of these countries are not telling you is that when you die, your spirit is born in chaos on the battlefield. They're not even considering the spiritual conditions of those who die. All they know is that they died. Okay, let's bring them back home. Let's give them a burial. And now they out of here. It's not even a thought of those dead bodies no more. Just memories. But what about the spiritual life force that was in them? What happened to that? What happened to that entity? That gave you personality, character, behavior that you built up all your life. Where all that go? What Jaja say? And mortals who shall be slain in war shall be born in spirit, in chaos. That's where you going. Into chaos on the battlefield. So all these soldiers go into war. Look at these niggas thinking it's a joke. Play. Not knowing Obama decimate them in a matter of seconds, and now you in chaos. You in a chaotic state spiritually. So the God of Israel, the God of Islam, is preparing you niggas to be in a state of chaos by going to warfare, destroying your brothers, destroying humanity. Look at this. Look at the God of war. The Bible say God is a God of war. Yahweh is the God of war, and the Lord is his name. These niggas is fighting in behalf of Yahweh and Israel. Not you niggas over here claiming to be Israelites. The Israelis is over there fulfilling the prophecy. If you want to call it that. They in the land. They over there fighting the battles. You niggas is over here in the West talking about you Israelites. On the street corners claiming to be Israelites. These niggas is in the land of Israel. All you niggas who claim to be Israelites can take a flight and move to Israel right now. Take a flight and go to Israel and fight your way. However, nigga, you in the land. As soon as you touch down, it is what it is, nigga. You in the land now. But ain't none of you niggas doing that. You think your spaceship is going to come pick you niggas up and take you to Israel. When you got you got flights non-stop to Israel. You niggas can save your money right now, catch a plane and go to Israel and live. Enemy shall take enemy in these heavens and cast them in places of torment which they have built, and they shall not know peace nor war, nor wisdom, my bad. Now look at that. Key point. Enemy shall take enemy. And this is in spirit. Your Bible ain't telling you this. Enemy shall take enemy. So if the Israelis get the best of these niggas, they're going to put you in a place of torment, and vice versa. But what is the judgment behind this? What is the result? How is this going to get cleaned up? Because if you got chaotic niggas on the battlefield, who's going to clean that up? Who's going to stop the fighting? Look what it states in verse 8. And the work of your heavens shall become as nothing because of your destruction and death. And ye shall turn to going about delivering hells and the spirits in chaos. That's your job, Negroes. Trump, Putin, the Ayatollah. This is what you niggas gonna be doing. Ye shall turn to going about delivering hells and the spirits of chaos. You're gonna have to clean up what you started. You started the war, you ended the war, you got to clean up the war. And what it states, and your labor shall be exhaustive. Verily shall you cry out because ye came and people of the earth. So you're going to be exhausted doing the delivering process, delivering hells. And what Jaja say? Because you created this condition. We created this condition. We had the liberty to be peaceful or warlike, and we chose the warlike path, and this is what we created, and we got to clean it up. God ain't coming down to clean up nothing. You got to clean it up. When you was in a school fighting, was getting jumped or fighting, God ain't come down and intervene. Who stopped the fight? Other people stopped the fight. Other people of higher authority, the council, the security guard come and break up the fight. God ain't come and do nothing. We got to clean up our own mess. Verse 9. This also have I created possible unto my creation, for both angels and mortals shall learn to know the elements of the heavens and the earth, and to know what? The trials of love and misfortune. That's what we're dealing with right now, misfortune. Now look what Jaja say. Nor have I made wisdom possible unto any man or angel that knoweth not my elements and the extremes of what? Evil and good which I created. See that? So the extremes of evil and good that I created is based off the liberty given to man. Evil is created based off the actions expressed of man through liberty. So when evil is manifested, the creator says, I created evil. But the way that evil is manifested is through the liberty of man and women. You have the freedom to do good or to do evil, or what we consider good and what we consider evil. See that? And the extremes of it at that. The extremes of evil and the extremes of good. You got to know that in order to know what? To be what? To be wise. This is the wisdom. This is why I say wisdom is the principal thing. Not understanding, not knowledge, but wisdom. Wisdom is your strategy. Wisdom is the strategy of when hell and when evil faces you, how you're going to deal with evil when it faces you. This is where wisdom comes in at. This is where the strategy of wisdom comes in at. And if you want to see the strategy of wisdom during the time of warfare, read the book of Wars Against Jehovah. It's going to show you how true God navigate during a time of war. True God didn't tell his people to go pick up arms. Read the book of Wars Against Jehovah and look at the way true God is moving during those times in the 23rd arc cycle, 4th millennium BC to 1553 BC. Look how true God is moving during that time of warfare. Now, one time that true God sent out an army of militias to go engage in warfare with Osiris, Baal, Ashtaroth. He never did. What did he do, though? True God fell back and let them run their course. And true God sent his angels to receive the spirits that are in chaos and bring them to the hospitals and nurses so they could be redeemed. That's what true God was doing during the time of Wars Against Jehovah. He was redeeming the spirits of the dead. Coming back to up here in the verse right here in the book of Jehovah, where it states right here, this is what you're going. This is the work of true God and his followers during the time of warfare. And ye shall turn to going about delivering hells and the spirits in chaos. That's what we going to have to do based off your foolish acts. We got to clean up your mess. So through the hand of death and destruction, leaving the spirits of the dead in chaos on the battlefield, and you moved on to the next country, leaving those spirits behind in chaos, being an irresponsible false god, true God sent out his emissary angels to go deliver the spirits that are in chaos in those areas, bring them back, redeem them, restore them, and bring them to the ways of righteousness. That's the work of true God during the time of warfare. Now, once do he engage in war? But you follow a God of war according to the Bible. You follow a God that is telling you to go kill infants. Look at the difference of what I'm saying compared to what your God is saying. We're delivering. Show me in the Bible where it even talks about delivering hells and spirits in chaos. Show it to me. Nigga, I ain't even got through the presentation. I'm just goddamn daggering niggas with just small shit. It's the small things that count. So now, look at this. But in the times of great darkness which shall come upon the earth and these heavens, which is upon us now, lo, I will bring the earth into Dana, the time of light, and my Etherian angels shall come in my name and deliver them. See that? The Etherian angels are the security guard. Like, all right, we're going to break this hell's up. We're going to break the door. That's the SWAT team. They come to clean house. They come in the name of the Creator to clean house, but they're men and women doing the job. Right? And look what it states here. And again, for another cycle, shall they be left with what? The lessons given unto them. Which lessons? The rise and fall, the prosperity and the misfortune within an arc cycle of 3,000 years. But they shall fall again in the course of time. But again will I deliver them. Through my gods and goddesses will I cause them to comprehend the magnitude of my creations. See that? Once you understand the cycles, you can foretell what's to come. We in the time of summer right now, I could prophesy and say, well, in the next 3 months, the trees will not produce fruit. The grass will begin to wither and change from green to brown. The weather will go from hot to cold. I can start prophesying about what's to come because I know the seasons and cycles. I can write that shit in a book and it'll sound like Revelations all over again. So now, let's move on to the book of Eighth, son of Jehovah, chapter 17, verse 9. Look what it states here. Jehovah had said of old, before mortals I kept death forever present, that they may not forget the change from the corporeal, the physical, to spirit life. Otherwise, they would dispute it possible in my hands for these things to be. But my resurrections in heaven are far apart, and the inhabitants thereof lose faith in those above them. Through faith, now listen to this. Y'all may want to highlight this right here. This is a gem right here. Through faith is all power and glory attained. Therefore have I exacted that angels cultivate faith in the next resurrection. Take that and let that be a signet in your heart. Through faith is all power and glory attained. All power. If you want power, if you want to do the shit Jesus was doing, it's telling you right here, it's through faith. All power and glory is attained. Let's move forward. Verse 10. But during the last 1,000 years in Atmospheria, there being no resurrection to Etheria, many fell into disbelief of the emancipated heavens and sat about building up heavenly kingdoms on their own account and for their own glory. And in order to have exalted kingdoms, they sent their slaves back to mortals to inspire them with glory of their false gods' kingdoms, that others in turn might become slaves also. So here is an example of the change from following the Creator, right? Disbelieving in the emancipated heavens, going about building kingdoms on your own account, getting followers to follow you. And this is where the assumption of false gods come about. They assume to be the Creator now. And then they're going to the earth to inspire humans. We are the potentials. We are the potentials to the false gods. Because the false gods is looking at us like, okay, if I can get this man down here to believe my doctrine, when he die, his spirit is going to come to me. And that's going to, the more people, the more souls I get, the greater my kingdom will be, the more slaves I have, and the more work I could put these niggas to king, building up roadways, mansions. That's how the false gods are looking at this. No different than the goddamn CEO of a company. Now look what it states. So confusion began in heaven again. And it reached what? It reacted on mortals through the angel's presence. See that? And war and misery overspread the nations and tribes of men on earth. Thus ended the cycle of eighth ark of Noah, which was 3,600 years. So again, at the ending of the cycles is when you see a lot of the warfare and the false gods rise up again. So it states, so confusion began in heaven again, and it reacted on mortals. So like I told you, you are inspired by the angels. Whether you know it or not, You could be having a great day, and next thing you know, you fueled with evil out of nowhere. You are inspired damn near daily by these angels. Owaski Bible, Book of Thor, Son of Jehovah, chapter 7, verse 2. But again, false lords and false gods began to set up kingdoms of their own in heaven, and the cities of mortals, and lo and behold, everyone called himself either Thor or Apollo. And the spirits who manifested in the temples and for the oracles all gave one of these names. And mortals who were obsessed believed themselves to be the reincarnation of Apollo or Thor. And the obsessing spirits so called themselves. Others more intelligent said, have not the prophets foretold there was to be a second coming of Apollo? And are not these spirits who appeared through the Sargos the very person? So here you see what's going on now with Apollo and Thor. You got people claiming to be Yahshua. You got people claiming to be Jesus. And then those with the higher intelligence says, well, ain't they supposed to be a second coming of Apollo? Well, ain't they supposed to be a second coming of Jesus? You got some niggas who thought Elijah Muhammad was the second coming. You got Rastas who think that Selassie I is the second coming of Jesus. Some said Malachi York was Michael in the second coming of Jesus. See that? So all this is conducive with following a false god. And all these false gods eventually turn to warfare. Now look what it states. So great became the superstition of the nations of the earth that in the fall of a leaf, they found proof of the second coming of Apollo or Thor or Jesus. You know, niggas will use any example and say, oh, that's the sign of the second coming. Or that's the end. Every president has ever been is the Antichrist. If you ask a Hebrew Israelite, nigga, when Bill Clinton was in office, he was the Antichrist. When George Bush was in office, he's the Antichrist. Niggas just talking. Superstitious. So great became the superstition of the nations of the earth that in the fall of a leaf, they found proof of the second coming of Apollo or Thor. Many of the spirits deserted the second resurrection in heaven and returned to the earth to wait for the information concerning the coming event. These niggas left their heavenly place. That's like these niggas leaving their mansions and high estates to come down to the city to bear witness of the coming event, as they supposed, though there was no event coming. They duped themselves. They done made up some shit and believed it, and ain't nothing coming. Ain't no second coming. Jehovah said, all corporeal worlds pass through the age of too much belief. See that? As I give to a man judgment, that he might examine and weigh a matter. Just don't be running around believing shit. Wait. See, this shit making sense. Wait a minute. You got these niggas talking about the return of Apollo? Nah, I said that ain't making sense. Forget about it. So runneth he into unbelief. Then my angels go to him and show him wherein he believes too little. But lo, he goes to the other extreme, believing all things and not using his judgment. And that's what you see going on now. Biblical believers believing in the Bible don't use their judgment. Some people will tell you that you ain't supposed to judge because God said so in the Bible. See that? The Creator told you to judge all things, not to be I ain't give you a brain to sit there and be idle. Creator gave you a brain. He wants you to judge all things. By judging things, that's how you become aware of things. Right? Now check it. God said, why will not men and angels be patient and wait till a matter is proven notoriously before they pursue it to its extremes? The same sun shineth, the same stars stand in the heavens, and the earth travel steadily on her way. Yeah, her winds blow, her summers and winters come as in the old times. Yet man setteth up that a great wonder is near at hand, and no wonder cometh, and nothing new is near. So you making up all this shit. Yeah, the second coming of the Mashiach, you know what I mean? The sky's gonna split, it's gonna be a million angels. He gonna come down and destroy the nations with the rod of iron and all that. Nigga, that's That's A, B, C, D. That's child's play. Ain't none of that going on. And except the irons, the light of Jehovah was shut out from men. Thus, ambition for improvement was at an end. They became as drones and vagabonds, and when they died, their spirits continued to lie about in the places of their mortal lives. That's proof right there that the spirits of the dead linger in the houses where they once lived. Look at that. When they died, their spirits continued to lie about in the places of their mortal life. So now, if you die, your spirit going to return home. A lot of times when people see spirits in a house, if it's not a relative, it's more likely somebody that lived in that house at one time. I got proof of this shit. My wife, her daughter, they were staying in a house over in Chambly. She was renting. She went to the store. She could testify when I come back. When she come back, she was renting from an Indian man. A man, he was from India. So her daughter was telling her, like, yo, I keep seeing a lady walking in the hallway, an old lady. That's what the daughter was telling my wife. So one day, my wife goes into the room, and her daughter got a piece of gray hair in her hand, gray hair. So when she seen her, she bugged out like, what the fuck, gray hair? What the fuck is this about? And then the daughter kept saying that the lady kept walking back and forth in the hallway, the spirit. So she called the landlord and said, yo, my daughter is seeing a lady walking in the house. And the man got shocked and was like, yeah, oh shit, that's my grandmother. My grandmother used to live in the house and she ain't like kids. That's what it is. My wife's daughter had a baby. That's what it was. The baby was in the house, right? So the grandmother didn't like kids. And she made her presence known in that house. So what I'm saying that to say is that this coincides with the verse when it says, and they died, their spirits continued to lie about in the places of their mortal lives. So all of us listening right now, if we pass away, your spirit is going to return to the house that you grew up in. And it could be there, not grew up in, but wherever you're living at presently. And you could be there for years, even hundreds of years. Can you imagine? That's spooky. That's why even the spirit picture that I had when I showed the lady standing on the porch and she was dressed in like the late 1800s, early 1900s clothing. She's standing on that porch. Now that's a new house, but she may have been a spirit that lived in that area or lived in that environment and still there, dressed the exact same way, probably how she did when she lived during her days, which was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So it's not even like they advancing it with the fashion or nothing. They still stuck in that time period. That's spooky as hell. You cross over, you're seeing people of all genres, all walks of age. You may see a whole bunch of Native Americans walking this joint when you cross over in spirit. From the 1800s, from the 1700s, from them times, still lingering. Can you imagine crossing over and you see a nigga who lived in the 1700s, a Native American or a European colonizer from them times still lingering, walking around? And you get to converse and talk with them? Yo, what really happened when y'all came over here? You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. You can get them stories because their spirit's still lingering. Now look at this. And many of these spirits persuaded mortals to suicide. Huh? Let's stop right there. See, this OWASP be so rich with information, a sentence can turn into a 10-minute dialogue. Many of these spirits persuaded mortals to suicide. Now, people do commit suicide. You have people that commit suicide. That is a real thing. I bear witness because I know somebody personally committed suicide. A young boy. He was in my show. Damn, I wish I ain't got time for that. I'll pull up the episode and show you the guy I'm talking about, young boy. The last time I seen him, he was walking through the neighborhood and he had a TV, a flat screen TV in his hand, and he was trying to sell it. Like, yo, you want to buy this TV? Nah, I'm good, son. I'm good. He kept it moving. After that, the next news I heard, he committed suicide in jail, yo. Young boy committed suicide in jail. And he was in my show, Atlanta's Ugly. Mm-hmm. And many of these spirits persuaded immortals to suicide. So who's to say that those people committing suicide are not persuaded by the ancestors? Shit run deep, family. Got to consider. And many of these spirits persuaded immortals to suicide, and they killed themselves by thousands and tens of thousands. Nor was there courage more amongst men to endure anything under the sun. They wanted to be with the spirits of the dead, to talk with them, to see them, and to get rid of earth trials. See that? Now, this right here, this last sentence is powerful too. It says they wanted to be with the spirits of the dead. Now, you have some people who have lost loved ones, and they are so distraught that they would rather be dead and try to navigate and find where their loved one is in spirit than walk around on the earth plane anymore. They'd rather be dead. Like if you lost someone you dearly love, some people whose faith is not really sold and created, they don't really understand. I got plenty of stories. It's another guy. My wife, people, she knew. This lady, she died. She had a heart condition. She died. My wife got a heart condition. So the lady had a surgery and she passed away in the surgery. And the husband couldn't take it. He committed suicide, Joe. The nigga took pills and he wanted to be with his wife. So these things are not far-fetched. They wanted to be with the spirits of the dead, to talk with them, to see them. Because just imagine you with your loved one and y'all vibe is so strong, and that's taken away from you. You can't hear her voice no more. Y'all can't communicate no more. Some people, that is too much for them. They will commit suicide. They will take it to that extreme. So what the Owaspi is showing you is that the ancestors inspire these things. So your spirit got to be double guarded with Creator, strong in faith in the Creator, so you don't fall into these traps. Because these are low-level vibratory frequencies, actually. Let's go to the book, God's First Word, Owaspi Bible, verse 28. 8. Behold, I raise up the nations of the earth in my own way. Creator talking. According to the times and conditions of mortals, so do I deal unto them from my heavenly kingdoms. See that? Thou hast tried on all my people to convert them, but hast failed utterly. Behold, I come now with the new book, Owaspi, and they will accept it from my hand. And we damn sure accepting this information, because ain't nobody topping this information. You can't compare Bible to this. There is no comparison. You can't compare Quran to this information. There is no comparison. That's why we call for Battle of the Holy Books. That's why we went to Sonetta TV and try to call out Battle of the Holy Books, but ain't nobody want to play by the rules. Ain't nobody want to read from their text what their text is saying. They want to go play the author game. They want to go outside their books. They want to go outside and speak about authors and niggas who commentary about Bible and Tanakh, but they don't want to read what the goddamn book is saying. They don't want to read the Egyptian literature and want to really examine what the text is saying and cross compare it to what we saying and see who shit making more sense. Nigga, we know we got the upper hand. Create a gang. They can stay over there with the low vibratory spiritual aspect of this thing. We talking spiritual. We talking about what the ancestors is doing. We talking how the ancestors inspire humans for good or bad. Verse 10. Herein do I prophesy to thee beforehand, that thou shalt witness in time to come that I, God of heaven and earth, have spoken. True God we talking about. Nor shall those say, man of himself progress, and that such and such would come of a natural order. See that? There ain't no natural. If man don't progress, he gonna stay exact. Nigga, we will still be running around, running in caves if the ancestors ain't raised us. Put a child out in nature and see how, if he develop it into an intellectual human being. Put a child in nature and let him run among, he will mimic the animals. Nor shall they say, man of himself progresseth, and that such and such would come of natural order. Meaning to say, if you leave man to progress, if you leave man alone, he will not progress and say, I'm gonna go from a cave mud house, and build a mansion with gold pavement. He ain't going to do that. He got to be taught that to progress. I say unto thee, man progresseth not except by me through my angel hosts of heaven. See that? Ain't no progression without the inspiration of the ancestors. You will forever be goo goo gaga if the angels ain't come and teach you speech. Don't leave a baby. Have a child and don't educate him. Just let him grow up and see if he just naturally gains intelligence without learning. In testimony of which I have left many people before thee for hundreds of years. Thy natural order is laziness and uncleanness, wherein thou art quickened in spirit. Behold, it is the heavens upon thee that stirreth thee up. If you leave man to himself, he won't do nothing. You can even look at some of the tribes today. Look at some of the indigenous tribes. They stood around they're not as progressive as those in the city building up. Everything is progression. You think the Etherian angels are sitting around being lazy? When Jehovah called them Etherian angels, what they do? They organize. They get things boom, boom, boom. The calling had to be called before system and order could come about. Verse 14. Thou shalt not mistake the teachings of thy God, which was manifested the same in the ancient days as in this day, which is to worship thy Creator only, to bow not down to any other God nor Lord, to love thy neighbor and to do good unto others with all thy wisdom and strength, having faith in the Almighty. Understand the difference of who you're dealing with when you come over here dealing with Creator gang, and you're dealing with the other religious folks who follow a God, who follow a Lord. Thus saith the Lord in the Bible. God said in the Bible. But here it says, which is to worship your Creator only. God is not a creator. Lord is not a creator. Those are titles bestowed on angels. Understand the difference. Book of Osiris, son of Jehovah, chapter 55, verse 3. This much then of evil, now know of the good and faithful, and of the changes of the earth and heaven. Verse 4. By the pressure of Jah. See, during the time of warfare, we see Jah in the presence. By the pressure of Jah, Cryoshava had descended near the earth, and some places bordered upon it. Darkness had overspread the land of the earth in some regions for 700 years, so that the sun shone not, except as a red ball of fire. And nebula fell in many places to a depth of 3 lengths, so that even the places of the great cities of the earth, which had been destroyed, were covered up, and it was like a new country. Listen to what's going on here. During a time of war, meteorites fell and covered up cities to the point where you would never thought it was civilization there. It said it looked like a new country. Most ancient artifacts and civilization and buildings is dug up. They dug the Sphinx up when they first found the Sphinx. Let's see if we can get an early picture of the Sphinx. Early pictures of the Sphinx. See that? Look at the Sphinx right here. It's buried. Just imagine if this shit was buried all the way. You would have never known that there was that under there. They dug that up. Look at the early pictures of the Sphinx. It's buried. What did Jaja say? What did Jaja say? What did Jaja say? Jaja sweet my blood clot. And nebula fell in many places to a depth of 3 lengths, so that even the places of great cities of the earth. Now, the places of great cities, let's say Egypt, that's one of the greatest cities of the earth, which had been destroyed by the Persians, were covered up and like a new country, and we bear witness to that. Egypt was a great country, destroyed through warfare. Who to say Ajah Jane fallen buried it, just like you see here, buried in sand. Niggas will say, oh, well, you know, over the course of time, the sand blew. Get out of here with that. Look at that. Extremely rare Ray Finks photo. Look at that. Buried. When Napoleon and them boys came, this shit was looking like this. But now, they had to dig up. Even some of the pyramids they had to dig out. Buried ancient cities. Look at that. Look at all these cities that are. Look at this one. Look at this one. Still got the Ajab. I'm just saying. A lot of these ancient sites, they had to dig. Archaeologists dig up these things. It's not like they're already there. So coming back to what the OWASP is saying, the places of great cities of the earth which had been destroyed were covered up, and it was like a new country. It was like a new country. Look at that. You got, we standing over cities probably. When you read OWASP about the Americas, man, America was full of cities and civilizations thousands of years. Man, we don't see nothing of that. All we see is little mounds here and there. Man, this thing probably got buried under Wab, under Ajab. Now look at this. The which was beneficial to Jehovah's angels in assisting them to deliver hosts of chaotic spirits whose mortal part fell in dread war. Now let's stop right there. Look what that's saying now. I told you those of true God deliver. We come to restore and deliver. That's what you call redemption, redeeming the fallen ones, redeeming your brothers and sisters who had fell by the hand of warfare. Look what it said. Jaja said this was beneficial. The which was beneficial to Jehovah's angels in assisting them to deliver hosts of chaotic spirits whose mortal part fell in dread war. Why your God ain't doing that? Show me a biblical verse where God is delivering the spirits in chaos who fell in warfare. The God of war is leaving behind the spirits in chaos to fend for themselves, while true God is delivering the spirits in chaos to redeem the spirits in chaos. Where's the redemption of your false God at, man? What is the redemptive process of Christianity when angels, when people die in warfare? What is the redemptive process in Islam when ancestors, spirits, and people, humans die in warfare? What is the redemptive process? Let's have that conversation. Now again, the which was benefit. Let me come back up 4 and 5. Let me read it. Let it flow. By the pressure of Ajah, Crayoshava had descended near the earth, and some places bordered upon it. Darkness had overspread the land of the earth in some regions in several hundred years. Now, when they're talking about darkness, they're talking about literal darkness. The sun was blocked out like a thick cloud of atmospheric block. Just like you got clouds and it block out the sun, you got higher atmospheric condensing clouds that could block out the sun, and darkness could overspread this joint. Now look what it said. It said darkness had overspread the land of the earth in some regions for 700 years. Just like when you go to Alaska, they say it's like 6 months of light, 6 months of darkness. So these are small examples on an earth plane to show you how these examples exist. Now, darkness had overspread the land of the earth in some regions for 700 years, so that the sun shone not, except as what? A red ball of fire. Like this. The sun was looking like how it looks at Eve, sunset. A red ball of fire. Let me see if I can find it when it's like an orange tint. Kind of like this a little bit. When you see the run like this. There we go. There we go. Like this. See how that look? What Jaja say? Right here. Look what it say. So that the sun shone not except as a red ball of fire. So just imagine going through the whole day and the sun is kind of red like this, dim, due to the atmosphere producing that. And nebula fell up many places to a depth of 3 lengths, so that Even the places of great cities of the earth, which had been destroyed, were covered up, and it was like a new country. Digest that part specifically. That's the goddamn dagger right there. That's a gem. That these things covered up, these meteorites, showers, covered up these cities to a point where it looked like a whole new country. You would never know that. Beneath that, there's a whole civilization and a whole story behind that. Forgotten in history now. The which was beneficial to Jehovah's angels in assisting them to deliver hosts of chaotic spirits, whose mortal part fell in dread war. For such was the labor of true God in Cryoshiva. Let's stop right goddamn there. Excuse my French. For such was the labor of true God. True God. Owaspy is making a distinction between a false God and the true God. Show me in the goddamn Bible where it even referenced a true God. Because if you ask somebody in the Bible, how do you distinguish a true God from a false God? Because God in the Bible is sending out lying spirits, deceiving spirits. God in the Bible is destroying 25,000 of his chosen people, the Benjamites. Those are the same behavior of a false God. So how can we distinguish true God from a false God biblically? While in the Owaspy, it is letting you know, nigga, true God. So you don't be confused what's going on here. Don't that make more sense? Don't that make more sense? Yes, Nazarene of faith is definitely in the Midwest. You're right. Exactly. Especially in over there in Arizona, too. That's nothing but a desert over there. You know what I mean? And we got, in the Grand Canyon, they got relics and stuff like that of Egypt relics, all type of relics in the Grand Canyon, but that shit like it got bombed. Like Cosmogony be saying, nigga, Aja ripped through the west coast of America. So now, look what it say. For such was the labor of true God. What is the labor of true God? Delivering hosts of chaotic spirits, whose mortal part fell in dread warfare. See, we ain't inducing the warfare. We're not inspiring the warfare. We're helping to clean up and get rid of the warfare. That's what the work of true God is. So now you know the difference between a God of war, who is false, and the work. The God of war brings destruction. True God brings redemption. For such was the labor of the true God in Cryoshiva, son of Jehovah, and of his hosts of upraised angels, to gather in from every quarter of the earth and her heavens the fallen victims of the self-gods, of the false gods. See that? To restore them to reason. To restore them to reason. Nigga, them niggas is gone. Chaotic, like in a nightmare. Their mind is chaotic. But we over here restoring them to reasoning and to happier and holier scenes and to teach them righteousness and good works. See the difference? See the difference? Ask somebody in the Bible, or what is the redemption process? I'm showing you the redemptive process over here. This is how we redeem the fallen angels. This is how we redeem those slain in war. For such was the labor of true God in Cryoshiva, son of Jehovah, and of his host of upraised angels, to gather in from every quarter of the earth and her heavens the fallen victims of the self-gods, to restore them to reason and to happier and holier scenes, and to teach them righteousness and good works. Show me something like that in the Bible. Show me that in the Bible. Verse 8. And Tin, the false god, and Sudga, the false god, and Osiris, the false god, Asar, 2, all of woman born, and knowing my breath upon them, sufficient is it for thee, my son, to gather in the afflicted and distressed, and restore them and deliver them in light and truth. See that? Keep thou thy schools and colleges in heaven, and thy nurses and hospitals, and factories, and thy fleets of swift-flying Activanes and Aravangas, those are spaceships. And send thou thy faithful volunteers, and make the afflicted to rejoice and hold up their heads in great joy. See the redemptive process? See how Jehovah through true God is showing you how to redeem the fallen spirits during a time of warfare. This is the judgment of warfare, the redemptive process of redeeming your brothers and sisters, your ancestors. That's the judgment of warfare. Redemption, nigga. The judgment of warfare is the redemption process. When you got to redeem those you misled. That's the judgment. But to them that will not hear, and to them that curse thee and me, seeking to destroy me for their own glory, be thou silent. My hand is upon them. My Jah showereth, covereth earth and heaven. In their own game shall they cast themselves in darkness and destruction. That's why during a time of warfare, Jah comes about. Ajah comes about. Meteorites get showered down. That's like a monkey wrench in your plan. You wasn't expecting that. That's like having you planning a festival, right? On an outside festival. And then the day of the festival come and get rained out. That wasn't part of the plan. So plans change now. We got rained out. You got vendors that are upset. They want their money back. They looking at you like, I need my money back. And they get rained out. I ain't made no money. See how that works? It's the same thing. So during the time of warfare, the Creator is going to send Jah and Ajah. Bam. My J in showers. This is J. This is Ajah and J right here. The fallen nebulites. This is what we're talking about here. Falling meteorites is Ajah and J, just to make it plain. It's a time where meteorites literally embody and hit the earth. Bah, 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 bah. We may get glimpses of it every now and then, see a meteorite. You know, the meteorite that impacted, I think it was Russia at one time. That was one. Just imagine hundreds of these things hitting the earth at the same time. Now look at this, verse 10. And all the while the self-gods, the false gods, were at their evil deeds. The faithless, Jehovah's angels, worshippers of the ever-present, all-person, coursed the heavens along in their fire ships, calling in the persecuted children of Jehovah, calling loud, cheerfully through the heavens of the evil gods. Look at that. Same thing we doing now. We in the thrones of Christianity. The Creator gang is screaming out to the tops of their lungs, come home to Creator. Creator over here. You following the false God. And over their kingdoms of the earth calling in these words. Now, these are the words true God and them saying. This is what we saying. Come, come. The Father's kingdom is free. Come, come in peace, in quietness. Thou shalt be thy own master. Behold, the Father's place rise higher and higher, not downward to the lower kingdoms, nor to the earth, nor to reincarnation. The invented tale of Drujas, false gods, but upward to wisdom, goodness, love, and happiness. That's what they preaching in the false God's dominion, in the evil God's dominions. Because ye have put away the all person, the Creator. Ye have fallen into the mere. Ye have closed your eyes to wander higher heaven. Come ye that are in bondage. Cut loose from all. Fly to him who brought ye forth to life. Disown the world and self and all the gods and saviors, lords and kings. Be Jehovah sworn to peace and love, to good works and righteousness. This is what they say. This is the battle cry of Jehovah. This is his weapons of war. Words of redemption, words of peace, righteousness. Come, come, our Octavane, our spaceships are free. Our Aravangas, our spaceships full of comfort. Oh, come and be our loves. Be fellows, one with Jehovah. That's how they come and talking. And they shall gather in millions and thousands of millions. For hundreds and hundreds of years, they labored in the distracted regions of Haiti, toiled and toiled till weary and prostrated tens of thousands of times, then rested a while, invigorated for more energetic work. This is the works of the true gods. This is the work of the followers of the Creator, to redeem the fallen ones, to come and say, yo, we got better over here. We ain't come drawing no sword. We ain't come spilling blood. We came speaking about the righteousness of the Creator and true God's kingdom to get away from these false gods. Verse 15. But not alone nor unseen, these toiling millions, hundreds of millions of Jehovah's angels, faithful sons and daughters, for the labor built up their own spirits to be as very gods and goddesses in the noble endurance. See that? By their consistency, they became gods in their labor, which was written in their face, which was written in their fair faces. So the high raised messengers of far off heavens traveling past, behold Jehovah's souls in them, and so bore the news to other worlds of the darkness of the earth and her evil gods, and of the faithful struggling hosts of Jehovah in their uphill work. Nigga, what we talking about here? These niggas is out here laboring day and night to redeem the fallen ones, to navigate away from the false gods. And now the earth and her heavens cross the boundaries of Jaya forest and roll slowly toward the homes of dominions of gods, of Etherian gods. So what I'm showing you is that during the time of warfare, the judgment of warfare is the redemption, is to be redeemed. You're going to be judged, and then you're going to be redeemed. Give me a one in the chat if y'all getting this understanding. Let's run the rhythm. Let's run the rhythm. Great. Give me a one in the chat for the creator. Give me your one in the chat if y'all getting this understanding, man. It don't get no clearer than this. A baby could understand this. You know how we do. We're going to read a little bit from the book of Esther, chapter 52. God judges the false gods. See that? You know, in the Bible, got the book of judgment and all that. But show me in the Bible where God judges the false gods. If your God of the Bible is the true God, Psalms 82, God judges in the congregation of the Almighty. Let's see what he's doing. What are you doing? Let's get that real quick. Psalms 82. Psalms 82. What that say? What that say? God stand in the congregation of the mighty. He judge among the gods. In the Owaspy, it says God judges the four false gods. So where can we find in the Bible God standing in the congregation of the mighty? He judge among the gods. What's the judgment he given among the gods? How long will ye judge injustice and accept the person of the wicked? Selah. Now, let's go into the judgment in the Owaspy. Because true God is in the congregation of the mighty, and he judges among the false gods. The Lord said, hear, O ye of earth, and you of its heavens. Hear the labor of God, son of Jehovah. I showed you, we read what the labor is just now, the redemptive process, redeeming those who fell in warfare. For what was given to me by Jehovah to be in my keeping for the resurrection of men and angels had gone away from me. My kingdom in heaven were scattered and broken up. You know why? Because you had certain men that wanted to do their own thing and didn't want to be listening. It's just like a gang. Y'all organize. You got a leader. Somebody in the group don't agree with what the leader says, break off and creates his own camp. Just like in the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. You got the commandment keepers, the ISUPK. Some cats ain't agree. They created the House of David. They created GMS. They created all these break-off branches. These break-off branches are false gods because they navigated their way away from the true council, which was the commandment keepers of the ISUPK, although they false as well too. But I'm just showing you how false gods create other false gods. So now, I, the God of heaven and earth, sent my appeal to the four false gods, saying, in my name, Jehovah, greetings to you. Behold what you have done, and also what have come to pass. Now, let's use this as an example of the Iran war. Israel versus Iran war, right? That's what we're dealing with right here. So we're addressing this to them. This is to you, Israel. This is to you, Iran. And most, this is to you, America. Right? Look what Jaja's saying. In my name, Jehovah, greetings to you. Behold, what you have done, O Israel and Iran, and also what has come to pass, O Israel and Iran, where you have copied after my ways and have gained dominion, but of what profit to mortals or angels? Because you knew that Jehovah's God appointed guardian angels to mortals, you have also appointed guardian angels to them, though not for their righteousness, but to raise up mortals with faith in yourselves, meaning your false gods, your Baal, your Ashtaroth, your Osiris, your Yahwehs. In this way, you have built on the earth for the glory of your own kingdoms. For your guardian angels teach mortals not of eternal resurrection, but of attaining to your heavens only. And is not that what's going on? Your heavens only? The new Jerusalem coming out of heaven is coming to heavens to the earth. That's not eternal resurrection. To resurrect means to rise, to move up and outward. You're going backwards. According to the Bible, Book of Revelations, which is the last book, Endgame, this is where the bus stops at. Last chapter. Well, not last chapter. Right here. Chapter 21. I saw a new heaven and a new earth, from the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Verse 2. I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, a city coming down from God out of heaven. There it is right there. You niggas is going to be living in a city. We got eternal resurrection going on, but you niggas are going to be confined to a city due to your false God. Now, this verse one more time. In this way, you have built on the earth, which is because it says that the heavenly kingdom of New Jerusalem is coming on the earth for the glory of your own kingdoms. For your guardian angels, the Ashars, teach mortals not of eternal resurrection, but of attaining to your own heavens only. When and where I send angels to inspire mortals to obtain education and knowledge, you send contravening angels, and they incite mortals to what? Destroy their own libraries and places of learning. Destroying the libraries and places of learning. If you destroy the libraries and places of learning, you're going to reduce man to beast in the coming generations. Man is divided into two parts. Man, when he's civilized, and beast, when he's not civilized. So now, you persuaded mortals that the only good and necessary knowledge is contained in your sacred books. Bible, right? Quran, right? For you desire to prevent mortals from knowing there are other heavens than your own and other gods than your own, right? Well, in the Bible, people already know that there's more than one God because we see them in there, but they're still confined to the New Jerusalem, the city coming down out of heaven to earth, and you're going to be stuck inside that building. When I have gathered together wandering spirits and chaotic spirits and provided ways for their resurrection, ye have sent angel emissaries to thwart my labors. Look at that. This is the redemptive process right there. When I have gathered together wandering spirits and chaotic spirits and provided ways for their resurrection, which is the redemptive process. We're going to clean you up, but it's like taking homeless people off the street and cleaning them up, redeeming them, getting them back in order so they can be functioning civilization. If you do that now, that's the work of true God. You're going to get blessed. You're going to get blessed if you help the less fortunate, not just giving them money, but actually giving them a way to get them out their condition, right? Ye have sent angel emissaries to thwart my labor. You have provided wicked heavenly pastimes and disgusting tournaments within your heavenly places in order to win subjects for your own dominion. Like I said, wicked heavenly pastimes. So warfare is going on earth. When you die, you become a subservient slave to these false gods. So they're winning subjects in warfare. The purpose of warfare is to win subjects. The more spirits, the more people I kill in this belief, they're going to come over here. Because in warfare, you're going to be praying. If you're a Christian, if you're an American soldier, you're going to be praying to Jesus Christ before you go to war. If you're in a Muslim country, you're going to be praying Allah before you go to war. So if those people die in the process of warfare, those subjects, those people become a subservient slaves to the false god. And they're going to go to the dominion of those false gods. The heavenly kingdoms of those false gods is where they're going to be. And the false gods know this. So the more death and destruction, the more easier they could populate their kingdom with the spirits of the dead. The purpose of the gods is to get rid of you on the earth plane. If there's 8 billion people, if the goddamn false god can get rid of all 8 billion, he would, because that's going to populate his kingdom. The more subjects you got, the greater the kingdom. That's how these false gods are thinking. You provide excursions from your heavenly places down to mortals for your angels to witness battles between mortal warriors, so that these angels may satiate their own evil curiosity. Let me look this word up. Look at that. It's nasty work out here, man. Satiate. He folded up his newspaper in curiosity with power of fame or wealth possessed. All right. You know what I mean? Satiate their own evil curiosities. Now look at that. By doing this, you degrade your own angel subjects by causing them to rejoice in the havoc of mortal flesh and flowing blood. Now keep in mind, the God of war is enjoying this. The God of war is inspiring you to kill. But over here it says, by doing this, you degrade your own angel subjects. So the host of the Lord God that's inspiring warfare and destruction is degrading themselves, meaning they're lowering their number and grade. And then you're rejoicing in the havoc of mortal flesh and flowing of blood. What was the verse? When the blood going to be flowing? Where is it, Revelations? When Jesus' blood going to be flowing to the the second coming of Christ. Verse 19, ain't it? The coming of Christ right there, where the blood going to be flowing. Right? And he was cloth and a vesture dipped in blood. Dipped in blood. Blood. Where that blood come from? Huh? See that? Man, that's crazy. Yeah, that Revelation 19 of the second coming, boy. And Jesus coming to shed blood. All right, let's move forward. You thus call away from my heavenly schools and colleges angels who had begun resurrection, flattering yourselves that you are thus augmenting your heavenly kingdoms by additional subjects. See that? See that? Look at it says. Heavenly schools, colleges. See that? Niggas don't even consider that. They got colleges in heaven, man. What are you talking about? They got schools in heaven, man. What are you talking about? Don't they got colleges and schools on earth? So why is that so far-fetched to believe? Now check this, verse 16. On mortal battlefields, where there are hosts of chaotic angels, the spirits of the slain, I send my angels with heavenly ships to gather them up and restore them, the redemptive process. But your emissaries come and destroy my ships for wickedness' sake, calling it glorious sport. Now let's go to Benjamin. Judges 20, when God is indulging and condoning warfare, delegating war. God is delegating war. Civil war, Benjamin defeated. Let's go to the verse. Right here. Right here. What does that say? And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel. Let's stop right there. That's all we need. The Lord smote Benjamin before Israel. What did it say right here? On mortal battlefields where there are hosts of chaotic angels, the spirits of those of the slain. Right there. The spirits of the slain. Look at this. The Lord slain Benjamin before Israel. So what is the condition of the, and then how many did the Lord kill? And the children of Israel destroyed of Benjamin that day 25,100 men. So the Lord and Israel grouped together killed 25,100 Benjamites. So that's 25,100 Benjamites that are slain in war, that are chaotic on a battlefield. On mortal battlefields, 25,100 men, where there are a host of chaotic angels, the spirits of the slain. So now that we understand that, if the Lord is doing the smoting, what is he doing to redeem those slain? If he's actually delegating the fight. I send my angels with heavenly ships to gather them up and restore them, but your enemies come and destroy my ships for wickedness' sake, calling it glorious sport. This right here, Judges 20:35, the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, is glorious sport. Because what would the Lord get out of smoting his own chosen people for? Why ain't the Lord smiting the cursed Canaanites that's supposed to be the cursed people, or the Edomites, or the Hamites? Why is the Lord smoting Benjamin, his own chosen people? Why is he even involved in this? Why is the Creator in the Bible involved in the smoting of a creation that he created? That don't even make sense. And look at this. Of these great evils, you have been notified time and time again, but you do not put forth your hands to remedy the wickedness. What is your remedy? What is your redemptive process? That's what I keep saying. The judgment of warfare is redemption. Because you're going to get judged by the Creator through true God, and you're going to be sent back to redeem all those people you misled. Hitler, he got to redeem all them people who got them destroyed. What's the other nigga, Leopold? He got hella work to do. These niggas ain't going nowhere no time fast. That's upstairs. So look what it states in verse 18. You sell indulgence to your angels to engage in wicked practices, and you allow your guardian angels to inspire your mortal priests to sell indulgence to their followers in the same way. What? Thus you compound sin. What is sin? They say transgression of the law, but we're not talking about the laws of your God. We're talking about the laws of the Creator, the ways of the Creator. Thou shalt not murder and kill. That's the ways of the Creator. Your God is smoting Benjamin right here. Thou shalt not kill. How can he say thou shalt not kill, but he over here killing? And then got you killing. At least let him do the killing. He made the law. He should be the only one doing the killing. But he shouldn't be inspiring you to go to war to do the killing when he told you thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not murder. Israel and Benjamin are murdering each other. Delegated by God. And then when we get to verse 35, God himself starts doing the killing. Although he said, thou shalt not murder and kill. So God is not only not following his own law, he's not even restraining Israel to follow the law. He's just out here doing whatever. So he can't be of the truth. He can't be the Creator. More you profess to confess the sins of your angels in your heavens, exciting servitude from them as you purchase price for your excusing them. And your guardian angels inspire your mortal priests to do the same thing for their own followers, for the stipulated prices in money. See that? As above, so below. Your church, your pastors is greatly inspired by these fallen angels, especially in the religious world. They are very inspired by these angels. Thus your guardian angels prepare mortals to become slaves in your heavenly kingdoms, that they build for your own personal glory. See that? Owaspy is letting you know that you're going to become a slave to your false God. If you follow the biblical God, the Christian God, nigga, you're going to be a slave to that nigga when you cross over, regardless of who's sitting on the throne. It could be Luamung or another phony, a flunky trying to be Luamung. Regardless of who it is, the process remains the same. Same game, different players. Same game, different players. For you take advantage of the infant mind to bend it away from Jehovah and away from eternal progress, so that you might inherit it as your dutiful subject. See that? You take advantage of the infant mind. From a child, you've been taught Christianity. From a child, you've been taught Jesus Christ. From a child, you've been taught Muhammad. From a child, you've been taught Islam. Taking away the lessons of the Creator, replacing the lessons of the Creator with the lessons of these false gods from an infant, from a child. Or if not necessarily an infant, it could be an adult who is like an infant mind in the ways of the Creator, or in the ways of knowing a God, or in the ways of knowledge. For you take advantage of the infant mind to bend it away from Jehovah and away from the eternal progress, so that you may inherit it as your dutiful subject. Now I'm gonna precept that right there. Precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. So I'm gonna go to the book of Thor, chapter 1. Watch this. I'm gonna precept that right there. You know what I'm saying? Precept game crazy. You know what I mean? Let's go to Thor chapter 1, verse 13 and 14. Boom, off the top of the dome. We know it. Let's go. Let's precept that. What that say right there? Let's come back. Let's go back to the book of Esra, 52:23, right? For you take advantage of the infant minds to bend them away from Jehovah. Now let's precept that right here. Right there. That's the precept. The spirits of the newly dead are captured and kept in ignorance of Jehovah and his vast creation. Boom, that coincides with this. That coincides with this right here. For you take advantage of the infant mind to bend it away from Jehovah and away from what? Eternal progress. The spirits of the newly dead are captured and kept in ignorance of Jehovah and his what? Vast creation. That'll be eternal progress. Same relevance. See that? So that you may inherit, so that you may inherit it as your own dutiful subject. So you're taking the Creator's children away from eternal progress and restricting them to your heavenly kingdom. The spirits of the newly dead are captured and kept in ignorance of Jehovah and his vast creation, and made to bow in adoration and worship to a false lord or a false god. And these in time, being in contiguity to mortals, inspire them to the same worship, which fits them at the time of their death to fall as slaves into the dominion of him whom they worship. See that? That precept, everything I'm reading right here, dealing with that. God continues to judge the four false gods. In the name of the Almighty, greetings to you. 1,000 years ago, the grades of your heavenly subjects were from 30 to 50. Now they are fallen to 15. You remember when we read earlier the grades from 32, between 33 and 22, the conditions of the people will be war, destruction, death, and lust. And then we read from 33 to 66, they will be dealing with warfare, with music, oratory, remarkable men of genius. See that? Everything is a spiritual grading system. So there is no wishful thinking. You're graded, just like school. You don't graduate off of wishful thinking. You're graded, right? If you start dropping in grades, you better tighten up. If your grades are good, you ain't got nothing to worry about. As you have caused the grades of the angels in your heavens to decline, in like manner, you have caused the grades of mortals within your dominion to decline. See that? What do they mean by that? So we're over America. There is a host of angels that's over America that is responsible for the inspiration of every mortal in America, and likewise with every continent and country. See that? And the expression of what we do shows the conditioning. The state. Are we inclining or are we declining as a nation? That's how it works. Instead of well-tilled fields and good orchard, you have given them war, widows, orphans, paupers, debaucheries, thieves, and murderers. See that? So he's showing you like, yo, this is liberty. You could have chose this route, but you chose this route instead. And choosing this route, choosing the route of warfare, these are the fruits that come from it. Instead of giving them good harvest, you have given them famine and pestilence. See that? For your guardian angels inspire the priests, and they in turn entice their followers away from the fields to come and dwell in the cities where they can be conveniently absolved from neglect and not confessing you. Thus you have set aside good works, instructions, and the desire for knowledge, both within your heavenly kingdoms and on the earth. And instead you have given them rites and ceremonies, leading angels and mortals as if they were cattle for your markets. Look at that. Instead of teaching angels and mortals to think for themselves, you have prohibited them from thinking, except as your leaders think for them. See how that works? Don't question God. Don't question the Bible. Just believe, nigga. Don't question nothing. Don't think for yourself. In a religious world, it's like that. They don't want you to think for yourself. You can't think for yourself. That'll be considered leaning on your own understanding, according to the Bible. So you niggas are stuck all the way around. Thus you have thought with all your might the cultivation of the talents of Jehovah created withal. Do not say that I, Jehovah's Son, desire subjects or worship. Behold, I prohibit both angels and mortals from worshiping me. Look at that. Or announcing me or my kingdom as the all highest. Look at that. We don't worship no God. We don't worship no God, Lord or Saviors. The true worship of the Creator is service done unto others in righteousness and good works. That's the worship of the Creator. So what Jaja say? What true God say? Do Jaja? What Jaja say? Do not say that I, Jehovah's Son, desire, subject, or worship. Behold, I prohibit both angels and mortals from worshiping me. True God ain't taking no worship or announcing me or my kingdoms as the all highest. Look what it states next. I teach them one only is the all highest, even Jehovah. I teach them that I am merely Jehovah's servant, working for the resurrection of mortals and angels. You don't get no clearer than that. True God is a teacher. He working to help bring you up. Just like school. The teacher is there to lift you up in grade, help you pass the subject. I teach both angels and mortals that they shall not worship anyone born of woman. Look at that. Anyone born of look how they phrased that. That's wild. Jesus was born of woman. We're not praising him. He came through the womb like me. We don't praise no man. We don't praise no angels. Creator only. And behold, my footprints cannot be mistaken. I raised up Zarathustra and the man Brahma and Abraham, Moshe, Moses, Po, Chini, and Capilia. And look what it states next. Yet not one of these, with all their wonders they accomplished, was worshipped by their followers. Yet, who was greater than Moses, who stretched forth his hand and said, Come, come. And 4 million people in bondage marched out of Egypt. It's crazy because that same number, 4 million, is the same number that was mentioned in the freeing of the slaves in Gautama in the Owaspy. What book is that in? Let me see if I can find that real quick. I think that's in the book of S. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick, if that's in there. Hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight. All right, here you go, right here. All right, so book of S, chapter 20, it says Jehovah overthrows slavery in Gautama. And look what it states right here. Now, when God looked abroad over Gautama, he saw what? 4 million people in bondage. Look at that. 4 million people in bondage. And when we come back to the book of Esra, it says, and 4 million people in bondage marched out of Egypt. What a coinky dink. And then it did say that the Israelites will come to the Americas in the book of, what book is that? The book of Leka. Let me pull that up, see if I can pull that up real quick. Book of Leka. I think that's book of Leka 5. Hold tight, hold tight. Everybody, hold tight. All right, let me come down. Oh, here we go, right here. All right, so check it here. right here. All right, so it says, Moses and his people, he shall lead his people westward, and their heirs after them shall also go westward. Westward until they circumcise the globe. All right, let's scoop down. And it says, and when they have carried my name to the west coast of Guatemala. So right there, it's showing that these 4 million Israelites that is stated here in the book of in the book of the book of Esdras, it says, and 4 million people in bondage marched out of Egypt. Them same 4 million people that marched out of Egypt states in the book of Leka that they will come and carry my name, Yahuwah, to the west coast of Guatemala. And then when we look at the book of it says, for now God looked abroad over Guatemala and saw 4 million people in bondage in comparison to the 4 million people in bondage that marched out of Egypt. I just found that quite interesting that the numbers match up with the 4 million, and that, of course, they marched out of Egypt in bondage, but then there's 4 million in Guatemala in bondage. Now, here's the question. Because we see here, it says that they will come to the Americas, that the same people that's coming with Moses, right here, Moses shall deliver the faithless of Egypt. So here's the faithless of Egypt being delivered in 53:17 Esdras, and the 4 million people in bondage marched out of Egypt. So if they marched out of Egypt and they started going westward, and Moses shall deliver the faithless of Egypt, and you shall also put this upon Moses and his people, he shall lead his people westward, and their heirs after them shall also go westward. Yes, westward until they circumcise the earth. 3,400 years shall allude to them to complete the journey. And wherever they go, they shall establish my name, Jehovah. They shall lead all people away from all gods to believe in the Great Spirit, who I am. Here's the catcher. And when they have carried my name to the west coast of Guatemala, so these same people who left Egypt, 3,400 years later, they're going to be coming to the Americas, professing the name Jehovah in Guatemala. So my question is this. Are these 4 million people in bondage the indigenous natives, or are these 4 million the mixture of those who came with Moses? Those who prophesied with Moses, the Israelites that came over in America. So I'll let Cosmogony deal with that one. Because if the 4 million people in bondage was already here, nigga, that's a death blow right there. Because you already got the indigenous Americans claiming the land before the Africans came here. Like, nigga, we've been here. That's what they've been saying. And OSP already shows niggas is here. Copper colored people with kinky hair. It stayed out of the OSP. So it's like, So it's a crazy combination, because right here, it states that right here, and it shall come to pass that the faithless of the children of Moses, the Israelites, shall find the faithless of the children of Chini in America, and the faithless of the children of Capilia in America, along already with the indigenous who was already here, the Guatemalites. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting build right there to tackle. And yet none worship Moses. Behold, the 70 colonies founded by Zarathustra, and yet they did not worship him. Behold, China, who named the empire, who turned 300 million warriors into a people of peace. Look at that. Look at what China did. Turned warriors into peace. That's what we own. Behold, Capilia, who overturned the laws of 13 kingdoms in India and gave peace and plenty to hundreds, millions of people. Look at that. Yet neither China nor Capilia were worshipped. But you harp on the idle tales of obscure magicians and teach mortals to worship them. Look at that. Nevertheless, you have caused to be preached in your heavens that I am a God like yourselves, working for my own glory. Now behold, I prepare my angel hosts in wisdom and virtue, so that they may go away from me and inherit the Etherian heavens above. For this way my labor, for which Jehovah through his exalted gods made me God of the heaven and earth. I have sent away thus as brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah's billions of angels, who I had raised to grade 99. Look at that. Because the purpose of the true God is to what? Graduate, just like school. You go to school to graduate and move on to higher learnings and education. That's what a God is. He's here to, you school, you master the schooling of earth. So you could graduate and go into the Etherian heavens, where there's other schools and colleges and other teachers. See how that works? See how simple that is? So true God is God of high school. The Etherian gods are gods of colleges. So when you graduate high school, you go to colleges, and you're going to be met with teachers of higher learning. See how that works? See how simple that is? So when Jehovah is saying right here, when true God is saying right here, I have sent away thus as brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah, meaning these are graduated students. I sent billions of graduated students. These are like two teachers talking, and one teacher is talking how he sent his students to college, and the other teacher's talking how his students are stuck in 12th grade and they're not going no higher. That's what's going on. Yet in all the time of your dominion, ye have not raised one angel to the emancipated grades. Look at that. The false gods have not raised no angel higher than grade 50, 60, wherever they at. Because you can't go higher than the false god. So if the false god got a grade of 75, nigga, your grade is going to be 75 and below. You can't reach above that, because he's not teaching you the things to reach above that. He restricted himself. Those who are wise within your dominion tire of your pomp and splendor, and in course of time come to my heavens and renounce all lords and gods and betroth themselves to Jehovah only. See that? So some angels within the false god's kingdom that are more intelligent, they like, yo, nah, dog, this nigga full of shit. Let's get the fuck up out of it. Let's go. Let's get up out of here. And they go back to true God and become one with the creator through true God. They peep game. And I give them places in my schools, colleges, and hospitals, and factories, and thus educate them. See that? So when they come back, nigga, you're going to work. Boom. Because it's a redemptive part. All these factories, colleges, and schools is to redeem the fallen angels and to get them educated and move forward so they can graduate. That's what this whole thing is about. Graduation. You are living on earth to graduate. Some people don't even know why they're walking around alive. They don't have no purpose of life. Your purpose of life is to graduate from this corporeal plane and the spiritual and the atmospheric plane, so that they may indeed in time become fit companions to gods and goddesses. See that? And I give them places in my schools, colleges, hospitals, and factories, and thus educate them, so that they may indeed in time become fit companions to gods and goddesses. See that? Thus your kingdoms are continually depleted of your highest grades, so that your heavenly kingdoms and your earthly dominions have chiefly the ignorant and deprived as your adulterers. See that? That's what you see in churches now. You don't see people having intelligent conversations with the Bible. You see ignorance in the church, especially in the Christian church. A lot of ignorance. We're going to come on to this later. You know what I mean, family? You know how we do. Fire burn all the false gods, lords, and saviors. You know what I mean? We're only dealing with the creator. So the judgment of warfare is the redemptive process, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you're going to have to redeem all those you misled. And it's interesting how Ajah falls during the time of warfare. It's like a monkey wrench in the plans of the false gods. You know what I mean? So with that, your boy Slash Shalom is out of here. I just want to chime in and drop that. You know what I mean? Since we got this God of war concept going on right now with these false fallen angels, your boy Slash Shalom about to chime out. You know what I mean? You know how we do. Let's ride, family. Let's take it out of here. Let's ride.
In the land of truth and light, where the spirits dance all night. The creator gang shines bright, guiding us with all their might. Trumpets sound across the sky as we raise our voices high, praising the one most high, under the auspice watchful eye. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the creator gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. Harmony in every beat, our faith is concrete. Through the pages of the OSP, ancient wisdom on display, teaching us the righteous way, leading us to a brighter day. With each trumpet blast, we're reminded of the past and the love that will ever last in this divine contrast. United in spirit, we uplift and hear it. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the creator gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the creator gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune